Hey guys, it's a couple days late. Understandable. Um, Things happen. I'm gonna do this ranking for Carcass, and I don't necessarily need to talk about the records because if you know who Carcass is or if you've heard of them in some way, shape, or form, you already know. Me talking to you about Carcass to fans of the band is just stupid. Like me explaining, you know, what they did and lineup changes and all that shit. You don't need to know that. You guys know Jeff Walker, Ken Owen in the early days, Bill Steer, and of course Michael Amott a little bit later on. You don't need me to talk to you guys about that. I'm going to rank these. I'm going to show an album I recently got, and then do a little small chit chat after. Stick around if you like. If not, that's fine. So, 7 albums, and we're going to talk about the worst to best. And some of you might like it, some of you might not. That's fine. Obviously, right off the bat, number 7 is Swan Song. Death and roll, black and roll, rock and roll, whatever. I sort of see the point in what they were trying to do, but it was just poorly executed. It is a Carcass discography, and it's not that great, but it is certainly better than a lot of other bands' bad records, that's for sure. Number 6 is Rika Putrefaction. Not because I don't like grindcore, but about you really almost can't tell what song is what. Now, granted, yes, it's their debut record, and that may sound kind of mean. Really, it does sound like it blends all together. That's fine. It's a debut record. It's 22 songs long, but I will say they do have some of the best album titles. Period on that record. And even on symphonies aren't that bad. But you can tell it's a first record. You can't really tell who's singing what. The production isn't that great, but for grindcore, it's not. It's not horrible. It's actually pretty darn decent. Number 5, we have Symphonies of Sickness. Uh, Again, more of the same. Better production, a lot better songwriting, and you can tell that as each song goes through. Not as many songs, but obviously that's when things are starting to roll a little bit. At number 4, I have Torn Arteries. Now, some will say that's a very piss poor way of looking at things, but once you get to the 4 records, it's very difficult to sort of to rank this. Torn Arteries. It's not a horrible record. It's a Carcass record. It's a really good one, but it's a blend of all of the records as a whole throughout their entire discography. There's some good moments on it, but there's just some songs that were like, okay, cool. Number 3, Necroticism. And there's going to be some people that might not agree with that, and that's fine. No big deal. Necroticism is probably the best. It is definitely the best out of all of the grindcore style of records that they have. Production sounds a lot better, and they're far more meaner and nastier. Without a doubt, Bill Steer is probably one of the most underrated guitar players. Period. And then when you move on to my top 2, obviously you guys know where they're at. It's either Heartwork or Surgical Steel, and number 1 and then number 2. But number 2 is Heartwork. I just, as much as I love that record, and it is a classic record, it's probably one of the most classic in terms of the Swedish death metal records. Or not Swedish, the mellow death style thing, because they're from fucking England, you know what I mean? They're amazing. They're an amazing. It was an amazing record. Like the title track itself, this Mortal Coil, and many others. it just doesn't equal up to Surgical Steel. And Surgical Steel to me is number one because that was a comeback record. It made a fucking statement. Just about every track on there, outside of like one or two for me, it's all stellar. It's all killer and almost no filler. And that's just where my thought processes lie. Apologies for the yawning. I'm rather exhausted, but that's here nor there. So yeah, Swan Song at number 7, Recomputerfaction number 6, Symphonies of Sickness at number 5, Torn Arteries at number 4, Necroticism at number 3, and I still love Necroticism, but the top 3 are Necroticism and then Heartwork and then Surgical Steel. But again, I've never really been a big grindcore fan, so I can't put one of the first 3 records in number 1. Necroticism makes more sense to have it in the top 3 because it is that good. I just happen to be a fan of Melodeath a lot more. Now, I managed to, my coworker, so outside of the ranking, my coworker, Scott, who was in Moncton on his vacation, he managed to swing by into Frank's Music, which is a local in Moncton, which is about an hour and a half away. He swung in and he's like, and he sends me a message. He's like, "Hey man, there's something here that you really, really need." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what is it?" And he's like, "It's a copy of the Jester Race." I'm like, "How much?" And he told me the price. And I was like, "Yep, that works for me." And because he already has, I think he already has Jester Race. I think he bought it on eBay. And he wanted Reroute to Remain, which was there. So he picked up Reroute, and he ended up grabbing me the Jester Race. And I'm just in the process of kind of opening the rest of it here. That's the thing I like Nuclear Blast. They have these stupid little tags here. I hate these things. But whatever. They work. It keeps them sealed. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, my Lord. There we... Come on, stick... I hate this. But yeah, so clearly I have the CD finally. I've only been trying to find a decent copy for a decent price. Now, I know on eBay in Canada, there's a guy that's selling them for like $14. That being said, when I last looked, he didn't have this in his collection. A lot of the copies that were floating around were on over in the UK, and the fucking shipping was going to cost me a lot. So yeah, sorry for the glare, guys, but you know, glare, and see, you can see more of my ugly face showing this thing twice. So yeah, Jester Race. There's the back, album titles, CD. See, look, and there goes the CD because you know nothing stays right. That was bad. Luckily, it landed with the playable side up. So that's a bonus. So yeah, shitty packaging there, Nuclear Blast. Figure that out. Fix your jewel cases. And a lot of people will argue with me, but that's why I like these better. I like Digipacks. Because you can slide them in, and usually they have something. Usually it's a lot harder to take them out. In some cases, it's not. Okay, so that's pretty much that. I'm going to be. Of course, I'm dropping everything now. Such is my life this weekend. So I'm going to be looking at possibly doing a couple more rankings. I'd like to do some stuff that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Because most of my comfort zone is you know, more extreme metal. So I might look into doing some other stuff, but I do know for a fact one thing I'm going to do from now on is I'm not going to post on my community unless I know for a fact I'm doing something. Because I find that tends to be my issue. I'll post something and then I don't end up doing it, and then I feel kind of stupid about it, but that's okay. Lessons, right? So I'm going to not be posting for a little bit, and not because of anything bad, but I'm going to be looking at, because I know the band's getting ready to put some more tracks down. I know we were starting to track a little while ago, but yeah, we're going to pick it up and get things done, and then get the EP done, get it out. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and get started on those vocal covers. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple like run throughs of one song, and then I'm going to see how things go. I'll post. I probably won't have anything done vocal cover wise for probably a few weeks, but because I know I said it was spring and summer, but lately it's been kind of wonky, so we'll get her done soon. Anyways, guys, thanks, and sorry for the slackness.